this is Warhawk Beyond 2040, and welcome to another edition of the Flash Season 8 review series. And today I am going to be talking about Episode 4, Armageddon Part 4, which is part of a 5-part crossover event which I have just finished watching. And this episode, for me, could very well be the best episode of Season 8 so far. And wow, what more can you say? Imagine Elseworlds, or the concept of it, just completely turned on its head. I mean, upside down, literally upside down, because this episode was just so damn good. And this is exactly what the Elseworlds crossover event should have been like. No disrespect to it, I enjoyed it, but to me, this really felt like an Elseworlds. Or if it wasn't, it was certainly very close. Highly enjoyable, certainly the best part of what has been an amazing 5-part event. And we've got one more part to go. You know, that's the cool thing about it. It's not over yet. This has just been an amazing start to season 8. I've enjoyed part 1, I've enjoyed part 2, I've enjoyed part 3, but this for me could very well be the best one of all. And wow, I'm just absolutely blown away. So I'm going to bring you guys up to speed with what's happened so far, and then we're just going to get straight into it. So basically, what's happened so far is Despero has travelled back to 2021 and has warned the Flash that he is going to cause the end of the world in 2031. And Barry, of course, has gone on record to say that's never going to happen. Why would I do such a thing? And Despero went on to explain that a great tragedy will cause the Flash to lose his mind and completely turn on his friends and his family and just go full on rogue. So Barry convinced Despero that's not going to happen. So over the course of so far 3 parts, we've seen Barry trying to stop these events from happening. He recruited Black Lightnings who try and take away his speed. And we saw at the very end of part 3, Barry went to 2031, and what he saw was, without a doubt, the biggest shock ever. And for me, this is Barry's ultimate nightmare come to life. He went to a party which looked like an engagement party, and he saw Eobard Thorne with Iris West announcing their engagement and set to get married. Holy cow. What a way to end part 3. Now, over the course of this crossover event, we've seen a number of heroes appear to help Barry. So in part 1, we had Ray Palmer. In part 2, we had Alex Danvers. And in part 3, we had Black Lightning. And in this part, we had Batwoman. Although her role was very small, she was a part of this as well. I probably would say the 2 heroes who had the biggest role in this crossover event so far is probably Ray Palmer and Black Lightning. They certainly played the biggest role in this crossover event so far. So this is literally Elseworlds, just upside down, turned upside down, so to speak. Just unbelievable. And having just finished watching part 4 of the Armageddon crossover event, the way this whole episode played out, even got a surprise assist from an old familiar face who we haven't seen in quite a while and who is a big thorn in a lot of the hero side, especially in the early days of the Arrowverse. You know, this episode had it all. It was just so good, very well written, and as I said already, we've got one more part to go, and I can't wait to see how that's going to unfold. But we'll get to that later on. So, with that all said, let's get straight into it. Let's not waste any more time. Let's talk about episode 4, Armageddon, part 4. So, part 4 picks up where we left off at the end of part 3, and we see Central City in 2031, where we see Ryan and Iris are talking about relationship matters. Specifically, Ryan is talking about having children with Sophie. So, in this timeline, Sophie and Ryan are already together, and she talks to Iris about the challenges of pregnancy and trying to juggle the life of being Batwoman. And Cecile is also having family related issues of her own with a now grown up Jenna. Allegra and Chester have had an awkward moment. Allegra has been living in London, but now she has announced that she may be moving to Gotham City. We then see Eobard Thorne, once again wearing the face of Harrison Wells, interrupts to start making his speech, and this is exactly where the episode from the week before picked up. And we see Barry walks in and confronts Eobard, but when Barry tries to prove to everyone that he's the real Flash by suiting up, we get perhaps one of two shocking moments. Barry suits up and we see him wearing the Reverse Flash costume. And not just the Reverse Flash costume that we've been seeing from the very beginning. I'm talking about the classic full yellow suit, red boots, black symbol, red lightning, everything, all the works. I couldn't believe it. But the surprises didn't stop there. We then see Eobard Thorne suit up, and he's wearing the Flash suit. Oh my god. Unbelievable moments. And not just the Flash suit, we're talking the proper Flash suit. Gold belt, gold boots, all the lot from head to toe. Comic book accuracy panorama. Wow. Unbelievable. And I just want to go out and say that I am really impressed with the comic book accuracy they've brought to the costumes. I mean, no disrespect to the costumes we've seen since the very beginning. I love them, but they were kind of getting a bit old, so they've just really gone for it, and we've got the proper comic book accurate costumes of the Flash and Reverse Flash. I love it. So we then see Thorne tells Team Flash to suit up, which is a phrase that Oliver always used to say when it was time to go to work. And everybody at the party does so, and we see everyone aligning with Thorne against Barry. Do you know what would have made this even more fun? If we had Joe West, if we had Cisco there, if we had Ralph. Obviously, we know why he's not there anymore, but I'm saying if we had everybody there, this would have just been unbelievable. Imagine Barry versus the Arrowverse. That would have just been even more epic. So we see Barry fights the entire team, and Barry tries to explain that he came from 2021, and we see no one is listening to him. A massive fight breaks out, and Barry is taken down by the team, and he is told that this is for Nate, this is for Ray, and this is for Sarah, and this is for Cisco. So it looks like in this timeline, those names that were mentioned, it looks like they're dead. So it's pretty messed up. Barry speeds away, taking Iris with him to try and convince her that something is wrong with the timeline. But Thorne shows up and snatches him away. Thorne explains that he created a reverse flashpoint, that he is the architect of all Barry's bad day in 2021. The issues at Star Labs, Joe's death. Eobard Thorne explains that he went back in time to make sure that he became the Flash to steal Barry's life and made Barry become the Reverse Flash. Wow. If there was ever a moment that Eobard Thorne cemented himself as quite possibly the best bad guy of the Arrowverse, it was this one. I mean, not even Zoom, not even Savitar, not even the Thinker, not even any of the other villains I could think of who've appeared in the Flash. No one has given more pain and more grief and more trouble than Eobard Thorne. I mean, he just goes above and beyond to hurt Barry. I mean, this isn't just about killing him. He doesn't just want to kill him, he just wants to absolutely humiliate him. And to me, that just makes him the perfect villain. And you can see that Eobard Thorne just enjoys making Barry feel miserable. But I think the ultimate middle finger to Barry is just basically stealing his entire life. I mean, that's worse than killing someone and then actually rubbing it in his face. It's just crazy. So we then see that Eobard Thorne wore the face of Barry to turn Central City against him and even orchestrate the attacks as well. We then even see Barry asking Black Lightning to take his speed, all thanks to Eobard Thorne. Thorne's ultimate plan ends with Barry dying. Thorne reveals that as part of his reverse flashpoint, he killed Barry as a child, and at midnight, the timeline will solidify itself and Barry will cease to exist. I remember a line back in. I'm trying to remember. That's right. Crisis on Earth X. At the end of that crossover event, Eobard Thorne said, I wonder what face I will wear next time. Well, he wore Barry's face, and now it all makes sense. So then we see in disguise, Barry goes to Jiss's where he hears a news item about Damien Dark getting out of prison for murder. Now, this is actually the first time we've seen Damien Dark since he sacrificed himself to ensure Nora's safety back in season 5, I believe it was. Yeah, I think it was season 5. I have to go back and check that. I think it was season 5. So Barry pays Damien a visit, and Barry plays along a bit and gives Damien a light version of what Thorne has done with the timeline. Damien has an idea of how to fix things. You have to do it all at once and need a specific device that was ripped from Ray's dead hands. We see at Star Labs, Team Flash with Thorne works on trying to find Barry, who is operating on limited speed. Iris tells Thorne that she feels that Barry seems off. This makes Thorne nervous. Alex and Allegra talk about her situation with Chester, and it's revealed they did hook up 10 years before, but nothing came of it after. Before the conversation can continue, the pair are blasted against a wall, and we see it's Damien Dark and Barry Adam. Chester and Ryan Troy are working in the lab, and Damien and Barry show up. Turns out that PED is in Star Labs, and they go to grab the device when Cecile uses the Psycho Pirate's mask, but they quickly defeat her and leave. However, because Barry doesn't want to kill them, Damien realizes that Barry isn't the real Reverse Flash. Barry tells Damien the truth. Barry explains that in the correct timeline, Nora is alive and well, and explains that how he sacrificed himself to ensure her safety. In this false timeline, Nora is dead. Damien tests Barry to see if he's lying, and when he realizes Barry is telling the truth, Damien actually agrees to help him restore the timeline. What an unlikely team. Damien Dark and The Flash. I told you, this easily should have been an Elseworlds episode. This is how good it was. At Iris's loft, Batwoman says she must return to Gotham, but she gives her a gun that will disconnect a speedster from their speed force. Iris is also struggling to write her vows. She's haunted by what Barry has said, and Batwoman tells her to listen to her heart. Alex confronts Chester about ghosting Allegra, but it turns out that he didn't. He just went to get coffee and food, but it was Allegra who ghosted Chester. Before he could say anything, they were attacked by the Legion of Doom, and they never had a chance to talk about it. And Allegra told him the night was a mistake. Alex and Ryan Troy also chat and disagree a bit, with Alex telling him that someday he will wake up alone and realise how wrong he was about love himself. Alex then confronts Allegra for lying to her about Chester, and Allegra admits that waking up alone triggered her, so she just pushed him away. Ryan comes and joins the conversation and encourages Allegra to try with Chester, and admits that he doesn't want to wake up alone himself. Barry works out the science he needs to reach the right speed to pull off their plan, and it's substantial. Barry would trigger Armageddon if he ran at the speed around the world he needed to. With time running out, Barry must decide. Barry only has 2 minutes to hit Mach 24 to pull things off. Damien also gives him an unexpected and surprise pep talk. Speed isn't the only thing that is guiding Barry. Love is also a huge aspect of Barry's power. And we get a little Crisis reference as well. Barry is the paragon of love. Nice. And love is what drives him. Team Flash gets a hit on Barry, who shows up at Iris's loft, though he's begun to phase in and out. He tells her that he's about to do something impossible and starts to tell her how he feels, but we see Thorne shows up and encourages Iris to shoot Barry. Barry tells Iris he loves her, and Iris ends up shooting Thorne instead. Love it. She tells Barry to go before she changes her mind, and Damien positions himself at the point of origin as defense. Barry takes off racing as fast as he can around the world as Armageddon begins. Thorne gives chase, and Damien warns Barry that he has company as Damien himself is attacked by Frost and Chilblain, who are currently protected by a spell from John Constantine. Oh, Constantine reference here. At Star Labs, Allegra and Chester finally admit they love each other and kiss, and Barry tells Damien that he's still not fast enough. Damien tells him to focus. Who'd ever thought Damien would actually be the one to motivate Barry Allen? Unbelievable. Ryan Troy shows up as the Atom and stops Damien along with Sentinel. Now, this was actually a cool moment because we all know in the comic books that Ryan Troy becomes the next Atom after Ray Palmer. And for the most part, we rarely have seen much of Ryan Troy. I mean, he was in Crisis on Infinite Earths, but he didn't really do much, nor did he suit up. So to actually see him in the full Atom suit, comic book accurate, by the way, love it. Just absolutely amazing. Thorne is gaining on Barry and goads him, telling him that he's too late, as Barry starts to see images of his life with Iris and Central City fade away. Iris tells Barry that she loves him too. It's enough to give Barry the extra boost he needs. And then back in Central City 2021, we see that Despero has killed all of Team Flash and is torturing Cecile to get Barry's location before he takes out Cecile. A wave of temporal energy washes over everything, and we see Barry arrives, restored to normal as the Flash, and Barry tells Despero what really happened. He explains to him that to start Armageddon, but Despero left before the world actually ended, and explained that Eobard Thorne, aka the Reverse Flash, had been chasing him, causing Armageddon in the first place, and the speed from both of them was what tore the world apart. Iris helped Barry reconnect to the Speed Force. Despero is able to confirm Barry is telling the truth about things, although he is still skeptical and decides to go to 2031 to confirm things for himself, and warns that if anything is wrong, he will come straight back to kill him. Oh boy. Despero having left, Barry goes to the lounge at Star Labs and sees everything is back to normal. Barry has his job, he has his friends, everybody is alive and well, and most importantly, Joe West is alive. Barry speaks to him on the phone, relieved to know that his father figure is safe, and then just when things are okay, we see at the very end, we see Eobard Thorne, now the Reverse Flash once again, shows up in the vault, vowing to change things once again. And that's how we end episode 4, Armageddon Part 4. Unbelievable episode. Loved every second of it. This easily could have been and should have been an Elseworlds. That's how good this one was. So it looks like Eobard Thorne was behind everything. Makes perfect sense. And, you know, I wouldn't say that everybody saw it coming, but just the fact it was him just made it even better. So even though deep down you kind of knew that it could be him, when we did finally learn, it wasn't a big surprise, but it was still cool as hell. Loved it. And, you know, seeing Ryan Troy, Eobard Thorne, Barry Allen, all in comic book accurate costumes, just absolutely made my day. That to me cements this episode as the best one for season 8 and certainly the best part of Armageddon. And as I said, we've got one more part to go. Can't wait. So that's going to be it from me. I am going to wrap this up now. What was your thoughts on Armageddon Part 4? Did you enjoy it? What was your thoughts on the comic book accurate costumes for Barry Allen, Eobard Thorne and Ryan Troy? Did you enjoy seeing that? And also, what was your thoughts on Eobard Thorne reversing time and making himself the Flash and making Barry Allen the Reverse Flash? Do you think that was a cool twist? And also, what was your thoughts on Damien Dark's role in this? Do you think he did a good job helping Barry out? And also, what plans does Eobard Thorne have next? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below. And I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Flash Season 8 review series, where I am going to be talking about Episode 5, the final part of the crossover events, Armageddon Part 5, which I am very much looking forward to talking about. And I don't know if it's going to top this one, but I think it's going to be pretty close. Either way, I'm excited for it. So until next time, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And as always, thanks for listening.